I know I am here with Alan Spence, who is the writer of Know Nothing, which opens next week at a play, A Pie and Pints. Hello, Alan.
Hello there.
So delighted to have you back with us in Glasgow and writing a play for us. It's fantastic. It's also, this play is also going to Aberdeen, so it's nice to have that Aberdeen-Glasgow connection. You cross both camps quite well, so that's fantastic.
And I live in Edinburgh, so much.
So you've actually got all three, yeah. Know Nothing's a really interesting and quite different piece. I don't think you want to say a little bit about what it's about, who's in it. That's fascinating.
It's about Edwin Morgan and Jimmy Reid, great Scottish poet, great trade union leader, and they passed away in the same week in 2010. I was aware of that, admired both of them, met both of them. Edwin Morgan had, one of his earliest book of poems was called The Whitrick, and it was 8 dialogues with different imagined characters who didn't necessarily meet up in real time, but you imagined them having a conversation. And a couple of years ago I thought, well, I could write another one about Eddie and Jimmy. I could just pay homage, in the form of The Whitrick. And it was originally going to be a wee poem. And then when someone suggested to do the play, actually, you know what? That would work. And it's been great fun. You're imagining them in this kind of afterlife. They don't quite know where they are. What are you doing here? What are you doing here? And where is here, by the way? And then immediately when I started working with the two characters in that kind of space, I was getting the echoes of Beckett, of Godard, of the two tramps. There's lots of wee references to that all the way through, that in the same kind of theatrical space. There's a wee speech that is a riff on Lucky's great speech in the middle of Godard. So I had great fun with it. And,
it's a very playful piece. Linguistically playful, I should say, playing with the flighting form and also reflecting Godard. So there's a lot of really fun to be had in that language and listening to. It also feels very political, and there's something brilliant because it's culturally reflective, but also feels quite urgently political, and that, I don't know if you want to say any more about that, but
I mean, the timing of it was just unbelievable. The language thing is close to my heart. I write poetry myself as well as fiction, and was a big fan of Eddie Morgan's poetry. And he used language like a magician, like a shaman. And Jimmy was very much the rhetorician, the orator, using language to move people and get them. Both in very different ways, using language to stir and move people. And the two different uses of language come together in the play really nicely, and that's part of the subtle interplay that goes on. The timing, I just cannot believe how apt it is. I've been trying to think for a couple of years of a slot when I could get time to write for the play Piper. This just happened to be the right timing. The production just happened to be just before the election. And being about those two characters, it cannot help but be saying yes, a loud yes to everything. That's its standpoint. And not just yes to self-determination, self-government. Yes to life, as an attitude, as a positive take on reality. We're not going to be beaten, we're not going to be ground down. We actually, as a race, we need to stand up and say yes. It's nicely, for me, the script has been published in book form by Aberdeen University Spence.
Brilliant, that's really great.
It's fantastic. And luckily, it's hardly changed since the draft of it.
It's not completely you're part of rehearsals.
3 pages missing here, right? One of the characters is going. So mercifully that didn't happen. But that's been nice too, seeing that folk can actually have the script to refer to afterwards. It's out there.
It's a good plug for a script will be on sale.
Nearly a fiver.
And it's been directed by Ken Alexander, and the cast is Stephen Duffy and Kevin McMonagle. How have you found, because you've been in and out of rehearsals, how have you found that?
Fantastic. I mean, just from day one, as I came into the room, and I saw the two of them, they were just right. Just physically they were right. And then as soon as they started just running the lines, even just reading them the first week through, they had the characters.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that they were mimicking the characters, they were finding what was there.
There's just something that just reflects the essence of them. You can just see that, and it's not, you're right, it's not a caricature or a mimic or an impersonation in any way. It's just, brilliantly bringing to life.
At one point they start to reflect the actors, or the characters are reflecting what's going on. It's like being in the body of an actor who's playing me, you know. And that's what it feels like, that they're kind of channeling them in a way. You know? And if I think the language allows that to happen, they're stepping.
Did you know either Eddie Morgan or
I knew Eddie Morgan quite well. My first ever published poem was when I was still at school, and it won a prize in the Scotsman School magazine competitions, and Eddie Morgan was one of the judges. So that was thrilling. I was 17 years old. And then when I went to university, I was a lecturer there and then later professor, and he encouraged me, gave me references for Arts Council grants and all the rest of it. And I read with him, I arranged readings by him at different times in my life. And I was a big admirer. He was a huge influence in my whole generation of writers, Liz Rocket, Tom Leonard. Just there as not trying to influence the way you worked, but just to encourage and help you bring out what you had. Jimmy I only met once at a TV programme. He was chairing an arts programme. And I was reading some of my Glasgow poems, and he was intrigued and he was fascinated. And we found out that we had actually grown up 50 yards apart, and this more or less in the same street, just around the corner. He was a wee bit older than me, so maybe I was just a baby, he was a teenager, but we knew the same spaces,
people, the same buildings, and that's brilliant.
So that was kind of interesting too. But very aware of what he was doing through the 70s, and all the controversy about him as well. It's not a kind of hagiography. It's not making the two of them out to be, perfect in any way. And they both kind of, part of the fun is they kind of a good-hearted needle at each other. So and that's a very Glasgow thing too. You don't have to kind of undermine the person.
Yes.
The humour's quite reductive.
That is a very Glasgow thing.
But there's an underlying respect and a kind of warmth comes through. I think. I just watched a run through there, and actually a tear in my eye towards the end.
It's touching.
Really quite moving, and it surprised me. I wrote the thing.
I know you should
manipulating my own emotions. I thought that was a good sign, and as you say, it's a very funny play.
It is. There's a lot of humour in it. I think audiences will be very intrigued. Normally, follow up saying what else are people working on at the moment. You also lecture at Aberdeen University in creative writing.
I teach creative writing, but term's just coming to an end there, so I'm looking forward to a break a bit more writing. My last book was a novel set in Japan. It's called Nightboat. It's about 17th century Zen master called Haku, who also gets a name check in the play.
Yes, I didn't look that.
Just saying. But my next book is also going to be set in Japan. I got some research funding to go out there towards the end of last year and do a bit of my background stuff.
Oh, brilliant. Something completely different.
Totally.
Exciting. Can't wait to see that.
Good.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
Thank you.